James Comey is getting exposed for all he's worth, which is not a whole lot. Today, pleading not guilty in a court of law.
Director James Comey in front of a judge moments ago in a hearing that we did not think would last long, and apparently that is the case. He has entered a plea of not guilty to 2 charges, federal level now. Our producers inside the courtroom say the former director accused of lying to Congress, obstructing a congressional proceeding, entered the plea moments ago in front of the judge, Michael Nachmanoff, appointed by Joe Biden, not guilty on both federal charges. He's accused of lying in front of Congress back in 2020. So that is the update inside the courtroom. And while that's happening in one part of Northern Virginia, this is happening across.
Yeah. So Comey is indicted because, you see, he's been caught allegedly lying to Congress because he's been caught, it seems, trying to peddle stories in order to get things into the news cycle, in order to, well, get a special investigation going. And by the way, he admitted this. I want to show you the tape. He admitted it. Okay, let's listen in.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No. I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Wow. What a guy. Comey, you are just a scumbag. I'm sorry. You know that I don't use that word all the time, but I'm not really sure how else to say that other than he is one giant scumbag. And he was part of all of this, right? Like, he was part of it. They couldn't believe that Donald Trump actually won, so they had to come up with the Russia narrative. And then, after he won, and they figured, okay, finally they got Biden in there, and Biden was going to take over. And then they launched this Arctic Frost thing using J6 the entire time. We've talked about this. I mean, J6 was unbelievable to me, how that was spun. They got Nancy Pelosi's daughter, Alexandra, in there with her little video camera, taking all the tape, right? And then setting it to music and then sending it to CNN, where CNN would run it in a loop, pretending as though it was theirs. I mean, it came from Alexandra Pelosi. It wasn't them. They weren't in there independently. You had Alexandra Pelosi, did you hear the last name, telling that story for all of America. And then all these ABC News producers that were brought in from Good Morning America, many of whom I know, to package the whole thing for a primetime special, right? So that they could educate America on just how bad Donald Trump was and how he tried to overthrow the U.S. government. And then they used Timothy Thibault. I was looking for his name. It was on the tip of my tongue. Former assistant special agent in charge of the FBI's Washington field office. So he was the guy who was there initiating this Arctic Frost thing. And then you had special counsel Jack Smith saying, oh, this looks pretty good. Let me continue it on. These people are in trouble. Like this Timothy Thibault, he could be going to jail. You've got Jack Smith, who frankly could be going to jail. I mean, if they did not follow the proper etiquette for this, they will go to jail, and they should go to jail because there's no excuse for it. This is not who we are. And I know they're trying to clean it up, but you can only clean this up if you actually have people that are going to serve as examples for what you can't and should not do. And by the way, Comey knew this was coming the entire time. That's why he said over and over again, I don't care. I don't care how much you don't like Biden. You've got to vote for him. You've got to vote for him because Donald Trump, he's going to tear apart the DOJ. He's going to tear apart the FBI. Oh, I don't know. He's going to find all those files. Yeah, those files that said that you illegally wiretapped the phone of between 8 and 12 U.S. senators, for goodness sakes. Yeah, no wonder you're freaking out back in, this would have been, I guess, ahead of the election at some point. This was right before Kamala came in. He was singing for his supper on MSNBC.
When you think about a second Trump administration, what do you think the implications would be for the FBI?
Oh, serious, for the Justice Department and the FBI, because Trump is coming for those institutions. He knows their power, and I think he has regrets that he didn't work hard enough to corrupt them last time. So he's coming for them, and that's a danger for all Americans. He's going to put people in positions in those organizations. He didn't have all-stars the last time. He'll have the bottom of the barrel this time, but people who will want to do his will, and that should worry every American. This election matters because of a reason like that. People have to participate. You cannot sit on the sideline. I don't care how you feel about Joe Biden. You must vote for him because the consequences on the other side are too severe.
The consequences for who exactly? James Comey. I mean, just so we get this straight, right? The consequences for who?
Director James Comey in front of a judge moments ago in a hearing that we did not think would last long, and apparently that is the case. He has entered a plea of not...
Okay, he says he's not guilty. Well, this will be interesting to watch, won't it? I mean, very interesting to watch. And again, I'm looking at your comments again in real time. This is a live show. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure that you do. Look, you can't live in a world where your government can be manipulated so as to become an aggressive tool that you can use politically against the other side. Like we just can't actually have that. That would destroy the foundation of who we are. And yet they did it, and they did it, and they did it, and they did it. And so I get it. Like some people are like, well, then why are we doing it again? Why are we turning around? And I'm going to tell you a story. If you listen to my show regularly, you may know this story, because I asked Donald Trump after he became elected, I said, Mr. President, like, why didn't you go after Hillary Clinton? And he's like, Trish, I mean, she's the wife of a former president. She was running against me. Like, it didn't feel right. I feel like we got to move on. We're going to do lots of good. And he was all about growing the economy, growing middle-class wages. He wanted to stay focused on those things. And so he didn't go after her because he felt like that was backward looking. Well, guess what? Here we are now. What did they do? J6 happened. They ran with that all the way they could, all the way to the bank, except they never really did get to the bank, did they? Because look who's back in office. So that happened. And now they're trying to come up with crazy new excuses. Oh, Donald Trump's going to try and steal the midterm elections. That's their latest and greatest. It doesn't work, guys. You know what? It doesn't work because nobody believes you anymore. Everybody sees through everything that you're doing. For goodness sakes. I mean, you think about the mainstream media. They're actually rated lower than Congress, lower than the Democrat Party. I believe the Gallup poll showed a 28% approval rating. Yeah, 28% approval rating. And you know what? Most people in the GOP are not turning to the mainstream media anymore for their news. No. They're turning to places like, what do you know, right here on the Trish Regan show. And also they're going to X and other locations because they can't trust the mainstream media, because the mainstream media doesn't deserve to be trusted. They're the ones that didn't bother to cover the biggest story since Watergate, spying by the Biden administration into the phones and phone records of sitting U.S. senators. Who knows how much more we've got going on? Watch. Okay, we'll try that again. Maybe they don't want you to see this.
Much of a surprise.
No, not at all. Specifically Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you've noticed a shift here.
Oh, I would think so. I think there are a lot of folks who have been on Twitter and may have realized, wait a minute, there seem to be a lot more Republicans in my feed, especially since Elon Musk took over. And oh my goodness gracious, what a tremendous, monumental shift on the regular news consumers on Twitter/X. You go back to 2021, the party ID margin. Democrats were 37 points more likely. You were 37 points more likely to be a Democrat on Twitter or X than a Republican. Jump ahead to this side of the screen. It's completely changed around. Oh my goodness gracious. Now it's a 14-point lead for Republicans on Twitter/X. We're talking about a 51-point shift in the margin. And John and I were talking about it just before. You can see it with your own eyes. This is polling reflecting what you're seeing in the social media real world, where all of a sudden, John, you just see a lot more Republicans.
You know why? You know why that is? I'm just going to say, here's the deal. Because they're not being shadowed anymore. And their voices are being heard, because you don't have the Biden administration saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, I ran into it myself, right? And I have very, very good friends who were deplatformed. I mean, it's just the reality. And Mark Zuckerberg has actually outlined all of this in an interview with Joe Rogan. And I'm going to tell you guys, we can't go back to that. We just can't go back to that. And that's on either side, okay? So when you ask the question, like, why is he doing this? I'm telling you, he didn't take that opportunity before. Now he's back. It's Trump 2.0, and he's not holding back because he knows what they do. He knows that they will grab the ball and they will run with it as hard as they can. They will go after all their political enemies. Apparently, they're even going to spy on you too. So you have to actually set the course right. And that's what they are doing. I mean, for goodness sakes, think about what went down. Trying to say he wasn't a legitimate president because he was put there by the Russians. Jimmy Carter's quote, former president of the United States, not me. That was Jimmy Carter saying that. I'm not telling you the Democrats said this. They said it. Okay. And then you had Hillary Clinton on it too. Everybody's saying he's not legit. He's not legit. Are you kidding me? You want to know who started this? You guys opened Pandora's box. You really did.